Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream message. And so here's what I want to talk to you tonight. And here's why I decided to label this particular message. The message tonight is stay in your lane. I'm going to say that one more time, and I want you to write that down. If you're a note taker, write it down right now. Stay in your lane. And the reason why I bring that up is because here's what I know. In the course of pursuing your goals and your dreams, in the course of trying to make something extraordinary happen in your life, chances are along the journey, you're going to have some distractions. There are going to be some things that are, guess what, that are literally fighting to get your attention. And I believe that all too often, too many of us are beginning to stray away and begin to pursue things that are really outside of what we really want in our lives. In other words, some of us, we have a desire to do something significant with our lives. We have a desire to take our lives to the next level. And yet and still, as we begin to move forward and either write the book, may perhaps start the business, may perhaps make a career change, along the way, some things happen. And some of those things that happen show up as opportunities. Some of those things that happen show up as challenges. Regardless if they're opportunities or if they're challenges, if they're not in alignment with the thing that you're going after, if they're not pushing you towards your goals and your dreams, guess what they are? They're absolutely distractions. And what I believe is that all too often, too many of us, we begin to chase down distractions or we begin to stray away. And guess what it does? It pulls us away from that thing that has our name on it. It pulls us away and keeps us from realizing our goals and our dreams and doing that thing that we know that we've been called to do. Just the other day, I saw that somebody posted this video on Facebook. I thought it was pretty funny, but they actually created two separate lanes and they actually put a tortoise, right, a turtle in one of the lanes, and they actually put a hare, in other words, a rabbit in another one of the lanes. And so most of us, we've remembered the story, the childhood story of the tortoise and the hare. And I guess they wanted to actually do something where they actually got these live creatures. So it was a live turtle, a live tortoise, and a live actual rabbit, a live hare. And they put them both in lanes, a very short track, and they went ahead and put them there. Now, naturally, when you see that happening, you're laughing because you're looking at this turtle, and the turtle is so slow. And if you know anything about a rabbit, if you know anything about a hare, those little creatures are extremely swift and they're very, very fast. So watching the video, I was just laughing because I knew for sure that that little rabbit was just going to run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and probably be able to complete that little race 100 times over before that little tortoise was able to get from one end. And so something happened, though, when they put both of them down. And so someone was holding the tortoise and someone was holding the hare, and they put them both down at the exact same time. And sure enough, the little tortoise started moving real slow, and the little hare just scruffled along real fast. But it stopped. It got distracted because there are some other people there. And so you see this little rabbit looking around, looking at all the distractions, checking everybody out, checking out the cameras, checking out the people who are standing there. But I tell you something about the tortoise, even though it was going extremely slow, it just stayed focused. It just looked in front of it. It didn't look to the right. It didn't look to the left. And even though it was moving very, very, very slow, it just kept moving forward. And even though this rabbit had the ability to run very fast, it got distracted. And here's what I believe happens to most of us. Most of us are like that little hare. Most of us are like that little rabbit. And we have a goal. We have something that we're pursuing. And somewhere along the journey, we get distracted. And we allow that distraction. Some of that distraction is going to show up as challenges. Some of that distraction is going to show up as some things that life is going to hit you with completely unexpected. And some of those distractions, believe it or not, are actually going to be positive. They might be opportunities, but they may be opportunities that are just not in alignment with what it is that you're pursuing. And we begin to dibble and dabble and start doing all these other things that we really shouldn't be doing. And all it's doing is taking our attention away from the race that we should be running. In other words, they take our attention away and we begin to veer out of our lane. And the beautiful thing about this thing, as I was watching this race on Facebook, the crazy thing is, guess what? That turtle, that very, very slow turtle, that tortoise won the race. And you say to yourself, why? Why? Because the tortoise did one thing. All it did was stay in its lane. All it did was remain focused. They said that focus is literally, they said when you're focused, one of the things that they said it stands for is just simply following one course until successful. And I believe that there are too many distractions for most of us, or we begin to put ourselves in a situation where we're simply comparing ourselves to what other people are doing or what other people have going on. And we never even consider for a moment if it's something that we should be doing. And just because other people are doing it, just because other people are doing Facebook Live, because other people are on a social media platform, because other people are doing that type of advertisement, because other people are watching those particular shows, just because other people are doing it, now all of a sudden we allow ourselves to be distracted. Now we take our focus off of the main thing. You know, Stephen Covey, who's the author and unfortunately is no longer with us, but he's the one that wrote the tremendous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the things that he said is you got to learn to keep the main thing the main thing. And I'm telling you right now that I believe that if you want to have tremendous success, if you want to take your life to the next level, you have to be very intentional about staying in your lane, becoming very crystal focused on what your purpose is, becoming very crystal focused on what it is that you want to accomplish in your life, as to what your main career objective is, as to what your main life purpose is. And when you discover what that thing is, your job is to remain focused. And everything that comes along your path, whether it's a distraction, whether it's a challenge, or whether it's an opportunity, you need to look at the thing and then say to yourself, is this thing going to pull me away from this thing that I'm pursuing, or if it's going to bring me closer? And if it's going to draw you closer, then maybe perhaps you go ahead and pursue it. But if it's going to take you away, if it's nothing more than a distraction, then guess what? You've got to find a way to just remain focused and not go after that little shiny trinket. I remember when I first started my speaking career, I was probably about 1.5 years in, still trying to figure many things out, still trying to make sure that I could consistently be able to generate opportunities and get coaching clients and so forth. My telephone rang. And I got a phone call from somebody who I wouldn't say is a friend, but maybe perhaps an acquaintance. And he said, hey, Andy, I want to talk to you about an opportunity. I said, what's going on? He said, listen, I am a president of a certain division of a nonprofit organization. He says that this particular role that I'm in, what we do is we have tremendous funding, and we actually supply underprivileged children with full-term scholarships to the universities that they desire. And he says that one of the key roles and responsibilities of my position is being able to cultivate relationships, to being able to connect with people, to being able to communicate, and to be able to be the advocate and the mouthpiece for what my organization is doing. I said, wow, that's amazing. And he said, listen, he said, I have to move to another office across the country. And he says that my position is about to become available. And he says that one of the things that they asked me to do as the person who currently holds this position is to ask them if there's somebody that they believe would be able to make a tremendous impact in the role that I'm in right now. And as I was thinking about who I think would be awesome in this particular role, I thought about you. And he said, before you go ahead and make a decision or tell me anything, let me just tell you, first of all, the reason why I was thinking about you is, number one, I know that you yourself personally, that you care about making impact in the life of others. Our organization makes impact all day long in the life of children. We provide them with scholarships. He said, the other thing is, I know that you have the ability, the gift to connect with people, to communicate. And so one of the key things that I have to do in my position, I go to different events and I have to communicate and I have to share the mission of what we do here at this nonprofit organization. He said, the other thing is, I know that you have other things going on in your life. And he says that one of the things I love about my position is that it creates a great amount of flexibility. And he says, in addition to that, he said, I could tell you right now that we start everybody off, specifically in this position, making at least 6 figures. And so he says, I know it would take you away from some of the things that you're doing, but just know you would have at least a guaranteed 6 figures coming in from a very flexible position. And I believe that you would still be able to do some things in addition to what you're doing here. In other words, you could still get out and do your speaking engagements. I don't believe that it'll be any kind of conflict of interest. And so as you can hear, he made a very, 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 very enticing sounding offer, especially at the stage that I was in in my business because I was still in the process of trying to figure things out and be able to consistently close deals. And I'm telling you, when he shared that with me, I found myself thinking and considering the opportunity. And so I share that with you to make you understand that sometimes when you're along your journey and you're going after your purpose and you're trying to make some things happen, that a lot of times when we hear the word distraction, we oftentimes put a negative connotation on the word distraction. But sometimes the distractions that come your way are not necessarily negative, because sometimes the distractions that come your way are actually opportunities that you need to be able to evaluate and make a decision as to whether this is an opportunity for you or not. And so I found myself considering what he had to say. And then I thought about what is it that I was looking to do. I knew for sure that I was trying to build my own business. I knew for sure that I was trying to develop my own brand. I knew for sure that what I wanted to do, that if I got it to the level that I wanted to have it at, that there's no way that I could occupy a position of being over and actually a president of a nonprofit organization. And even though that nonprofit organization had many causes that was in alignment with what I wanted to do, that it was not necessarily what my calling was. And so I remember giving him a call a couple of days later, and I said, hey, listen, man, I just want to first of all call you and thank you for considering me. But I tell you, man, I'm going to have to pass on that opportunity. And something amazing happened. I could tell you 6 months of me passing on that opportunity, I tell you, I had a greater level of focus, and I had so many opportunities that began to come my way and so many breakthroughs that happened in that 6-month period. And when I look back at that particular experience, what I realized is that it was a test. And the test was, Andy, are you going to stay true to yourself? Andy, are you going to stay in your lane? Andy, are you going to keep the main thing the main thing? And so I have that exact same question for you. And so hopefully at this point in your life, you know what your life purpose is. You know what it is that you're looking to pursue. And if for some reason you still don't know what your life purpose is, you have no idea, you don't even know what lane you should be in, I'm going to challenge you to do some personal evaluation and start thinking about what is it that you've been called to do? What is it that you've been placed here to do? And one of the things that you have to do, as Shakespeare said, to thy own self be true. And so what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to commit to whatever path that you've been on so far, just because that's the path that you've been on, just because that's within your comfort zone, just because that's what somebody told you that you should do. And I bring that up because I think about one of my friends that attended Florida State University with me. We both got an accounting degree. We both got our CPA license. We both went on to work for one of the big four professional service and professional public accounting firms. And I'll never forget this. It was about 5 years since I spoke to her, and she gave me a call and she said, Andy, listen, I'm thinking about the most crazy, insane thing. I said, what's that? She says, as you know, I've been working with this great company, one of the good companies like you're working for. And she says, man, I spent all this time getting my undergraduate degree in accounting, my master's degree in accounting. I got my CPA license. And she says, all of a sudden, I got this crazy infatuation with dentistry. And I am considering becoming a dentist. And she says, every single person that I tell this to thinks that I'm crazy because of the amount of time that I've already spent in school, getting my undergraduate degree, the fact that I decided to become an accountant, the fact that I decided to become a CPA, and that they're trying to figure out what in God's green earth would make you want to become a dentist. And everybody that I bring it up to, they think I'm absolutely insane. Andy, what do you think? And I said, wow. I said, you know, that's really a shift. Well, is that really what you want to do? She says, yes, I can't stop thinking about it. And she says that I just know that if I go that route, that it would just make me so happy. And I said, well, if that's what you want to do, then I believe you should go for it. And I remember when she first decided to actually go back and enroll in dental school. And I'll never forget just sort of tracking her. We weren't speaking all the time, but sort of tracking her through social media. And sure, lo and behold, a couple years later, she graduates from dental school. And I had to reach out to her because I said, oh my gosh, I remember us having that conversation. And now you're graduating from dental school. And she looked at me and she said, Andy, she said, I just got to tell you something. She said, you have no idea that I am so grateful. It is the best decision that I could have ever made. Because she said, had I stayed and continued to be an accountant all my life, I would have been asking the question, what if? all my life, I would have been going through life in the wrong lane. And she says that now doing dentistry as a dentist, she says, I come to life. I'm passionate about it. This is what I love to do. And I respect her for that, because the reason why is there are so many people right now who as they look at their lives, they know in their heart that they're not in their lane. In other words, they know that what they're doing right now is not in alignment with their purpose, with their calling, and what it is that they really, truly want to do in their lives. And because of the fact that the lane that they're in is what they're comfortable with, because of the fact that their lane and they're in is that what they've been doing consistently, because of the fact that the lane that they're in is the lane that they've become adjusted to and accustomed to, they refuse to take a risk and a chance on themselves like my friend did. And I tell you, when I look at Janicia is her name, and I think about this tremendous this tremendous transition that she made, I believe it's huge encouragement for all of us who maybe perhaps are going through our lives, and we know that we're not being true to ourselves. We know that what we're doing is not in alignment with what we want to do. And so I'm going to challenge you, if you happen to be one of those people who maybe perhaps you don't quite know what your calling is, you're not quite sure what your purpose is, and maybe perhaps you're just going through the motion, I'm going to challenge you to stop for a moment and do some personal assessment and start evaluating your life and considering what is it and what is the reason why you've been put here. What is it that you can be passionate about? And I think about when I first was introduced to that idea of passion, that there was something that was shared with me that maybe I could share with you. And the person who introduced the concept to me said, I want you to think for a moment that maybe perhaps you had all the money that you want in your bank account. So think about that for a moment. You had all the money you want in your bank account. And whatever that number is for you, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, whatever that number is for you. And he said, I also want you to think for a moment that whatever fears you have were taken away, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear even of success, the fear of criticism, all those fears were taken away from you. But every single day you still had to get up and make a contribution. There's something that you had to do. And he said, what is it that you can wake up every single day and do and it not feel as if it will work? They say that if you find the thing that you love to do, if you find your passion, then it'll almost be like you're not working, because you so love it that you would even do it for free, but you're grateful that they actually pay you for it, right? And so I want to challenge you right now that maybe perhaps you don't even know what lane you should be in, that you do some personal assessment and that you become very vigilant as to finding out and determining what's your lane. What is it that you've been called to do? And when you get there, understand that even when you get in your lane, that there's going to be distractions. And some of those distractions are going to come up and they're going to appear as challenges, as obstacles, as trials, as tribulation. And those things are designed to get you to want to give up on your goals and your dreams. Those things are designed to make you want to go ahead and take off and go off the exit. Those things are designed to get you to second guess yourself. And when those things show up, I want to remind you that you got to keep the main thing, that you got to remain focused, that you got to follow one course until successful, that you've got to be intentional about continuing to push through and understanding that whatever trial that you're going through, that it is just momentary. As Willie Jolly said, that if it's a setback, then guess what? It's perhaps just setting you up for a comeback. As you know, John Maxwell said that if it's a breakdown, it might just be preparing you for a breakthrough. So I want to remind you to stay focused. Don't count yourself out, rather count yourself in and stay in your lane. Don't start thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. Somebody told me years ago that the grass is greener where you choose to water it. And so I want you to just focus on the plot of land that you're standing on, focus on your dream, focus on your vision, and stay focused just like that little turtle that I told you about. And stay focused and keep going. And sometimes it's going to feel as if you're not going anywhere. I'm telling you, one of the most difficult things to do when you are on the highway and you're stuck in back-to-back traffic and it seems like you're going nowhere, and you look around to your right and your left and it seems like another one of the lanes is actually moving faster than yours, and you just want to go from one lane to the other. And studies has actually even shown that normally in those cases, guess what? You're not really getting anywhere that much faster. If you would just decide to stick in a lane and stay focused, then chances are you would still get to your destination in about the same amount of time. And I know that sometimes you look over and you look at other people's lives and it looks like they're hitting on all cylinders. You look at other people's businesses and it looks like they're doing something cool, something new that you should be trying out. And you look on at somebody else's career and you're looking like, man, maybe that's something I should try out. But if you know that the lane that you're in is the lane that's for you, what I'm saying to you is stop trying and stop allowing yourself to be distracted and stop weaving in and out of traffic, getting into lanes that you shouldn't even be in, and stay focused and keep the main thing, and stay in your lane at all times. I need you to remember to stay in your lane. And so I'm telling you that when you do that, amazing things begin to happen. And I'm telling you that there are times that it is difficult to make the decision to stay in your lane. I remember personally, one of the decisions that I made was when I left corporate America was to become an entrepreneur and to go after my dreams and my goals and my passion. And when I made that decision, I remember coming across some difficulty. One of which, when I made a poor investment decision and I lost a significant amount of my savings. And I remember at that critical juncture in my life, having to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to stay in the lane of entrepreneurship, stay in the lane of going after my goals and my dreams, or if I was going to go back to the lane of what was comfortable for me and what I knew. And what I had already known was, basically that, working in corporate America and working for my past company, which was a good company, and I knew the comfort of getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. And so I had to make this critical decision. Andy, do you stay in your lane? Do you keep driving down this particular lane that has a great deal of uncertainty? This lane that could potentially lead you to your calling and to your purpose and your passion? Or do you go back to what's comfortable? Or do you go back to what you already know? And I'm telling you that literally, as I look at my life right now, and I think about what I am blessed and privileged to be able to do, to be able to go into different companies and deliver keynote messages, to work with high-end individuals and help them to work on and solidify their story and to come up with their signature stories, to lead workshops and seminars, to lead coaching programs. And I look at my life and I realize that none of this would be a reality for me if I would have decided to abandon the lane that I was in and go back to what was comfortable. And so I don't know where you are right now, but what I'm hoping is that hopefully, number one, you've identified what your life's calling is, that you've identified what lane that you should be in. And if you have identified, if you've been blessed and privileged enough to identify it, what I'm hoping is that you just keep the course. What I'm hoping is that you don't allow yourself to be discouraged by the things that life is going to throw at you. And let me be the first one to tell you that life is going to throw some things at you. Some things that are going to make you second guess yourself. Some things that are going to make you wonder, why am I sitting in this lane anyway? Why am I trying to write the book? Why am I trying to start this business? Why am I trying to build this platform? Why am I trying to change my career path? Why am I trying to get this particular certification or whatever it is that you're pursuing? That there is, trust me on this, that there's going to be times that you're going to be asking yourself, why? And that is just part of the process. You got to understand that. But what I'm challenging you is in those moments of uncertainty, for you to just simply go ahead and put your stake in the ground and make the decision that regardless of what is thrown at you, that you are just going to remain focused and stay in your lane. And I bring this up because I'm telling you that one of the most difficult things to watch is to see how many people are just so flaky. And they start something and then they go on to something else and they start something else and they go on to something else and they say they're going to do this and then they do that. And they're just weaving in and out of traffic, in and out of traffic. And when you do that, you're just doing a whole bunch of activity, but guess what? You're not really getting anywhere. And so I'm going to challenge you right now, this moment, that as difficult as it may be, I'm challenging you to stay in your lane. I'm challenging you to do what Stephen Covey said when he said that you got to keep the main thing the main thing. I'm challenging you to really fully embody what the word focus means. Follow one course, not two, not three, not four, not five. Follow one course until successful. that it takes that level of focus, it takes that level of commitment, it takes that level before you get to accomplishing anything significant in your life, before you can reach that level of mastery, before you can get to the point where you're beginning to have success, before you get that point where you begin to come into your own, you must stay in your lane, you must remain focused and understand that along the journey, there will be distractions. Some of them will be negative, some will be setbacks, some will be challenges, but guess what? Some will be opportunities, and you got to learn how to pass up on those opportunities that are taking you away from your goals and your dreams. And you got to remember at all times to stay in your lane. And so I am truly hoping that as you navigate your way through life and as you continue to pursue your goals and your dreams, that regardless of what comes at you, regardless if it's an obstacle, a trial, or if it's an opportunity, that you will always ask yourself the question, is this in alignment with what it is that I have created and made my life's purpose? Is this in my lane or is it outside of my lane? And if it's in your lane, then by all means go after it. But if it's outside of your lane, I'm telling you, leave it alone and just stay in your lane. Let me just tell you, I am so excited. I'm so grateful that you tuned in. This is Andy Henriquez. And of course, I want to end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't show up for your life, trust me, nobody else will. And so I am so very grateful. I'm so thankful that you decided to tune in and join me this evening. I am just coming off of a wonderful weekend. We had our one-day storytelling intensive, which was just this past weekend. And I know that some of you out there, you would love to maybe perhaps work with me personally, and specifically, maybe perhaps you want to work on your story and getting your signature story together so that you can raise your platform, sell more of your products and your services, and be able to make more impact. If you're interested in connecting with me one-on-one, you can fill out an application at the website discoverycallwithandy.com. I'm going to say that again, discoverycallwithandy.com. And there's a quick application on there. You can fill it out. Someone on my team will receive the application, and they will actually set you up so that you and I could have a quick discussion. You and I or somebody on my team will have a quick discussion and find out what you are looking to potentially get some coaching and assistance with, and see if maybe perhaps this would be a good match for you. Of course, also before we open up the lines, I want to remind you to get a copy of my book. It's called Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. You know, in this book, I share some extraordinary stories that are designed to teach you 7 very powerful principles that I believe that if you implement them in your life, that you'll go from living an ordinary life to living an extraordinary life. And these principles are life principles that I learned from myself and studying other people who've done tremendous things in their lives. And it's really, really, truly inspired by my mom, a woman who came to the United States with literally practically nothing, who over time was really able to realize the American dream and eventually literally asset-wise become a millionaire asset-wise. And predominantly because of the fact that she implemented some key principles, and I share some of these key principles in the book. And I'm really hoping that you make sure that you get a copy, and if you've already gotten a copy, maybe perhaps get a copy and bless somebody else with it. If you're wondering how you get your hands on the book, you can either go to Amazon.com, you can go to BarnesandNobles.com, you can go to ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com. Once again, that is ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com. That is a website specifically for the book. And I believe that that book is really going to be a blessing in your personal life. I've just been overjoyed from the feedback from people who've had opportunity to read the book. And so, like always, we are going to open up the lines so we can get any questions, comments, or feedback. And before we do that, I want to also remind you. That you can in fact join our private community, online community. And so you might be saying, well, how do you do that? You can either open up a separate web browser right now, and you can type in the word showupgroup.com, showupgroup.com. That's going to be a shortcut to take you to our private group. Or the other thing that you can actually do is if you're already in Facebook, you can type in show up for your life, and you're going to see the private group. I'm going to actually log in right now. You can type in show up for your life, and you'll find a little private group. And if you send us a request to join the group, we will gladly accept your request, and you'll be able to